but they'll be pushing this because they're selling you that idea, because they're talking to a generation. I think we're some of the most confused generations ever,
this is so
because
real.
there's so much overload of information, whether it comes to fitness, all of that. You always see there's one person in your life, you know, that's always talking about, oh, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They've just never done it. And the people that are doing the things they should be doing, they're not boasting about it, they're just getting it done, and they're not begging for likes and comments and results. Do you know what I mean? They're just getting it done.
Because originally I started this journey of trying to improve myself to have a more enjoyable life, but in the process of doing that, my life was becoming less enjoyable. So it just makes me question to what extent I actually want to always improve.
Nah, cool. Yeah, I got 2 points on that, because I was kind of the same, like watching a lot of self-improvement videos, doing all those things, right? I think with our generation, especially like Gen Z, basically, we have this thing called like information overload.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Where
that's real.
There's a million people, you see those videos like, oh, I'm in my 40s, here's what I would do if I'm in my 20s, or da-da-da-da-da. And what you spoke about as well, the unteachable lessons, is what you have to go through a lot of the time. They're basically just telling you things that they've had to go through to learn the lessons, which you're going to have to go through to learn the lessons. Like, everyone's got their opinion on, oh, what you should be doing with your life, this is how you should be doing your finances, your relationship, dating, culture. I think a lot of, especially on social media, they sell the idea of how you should improve your life, and that's what makes them money.
Yeah.
So like, you see so many life improvement channels. A lot of them people ain't even living those lives that they are saying, oh, like, because you see a lot of them getting exposed for using rentals for their cars, renting out their houses, like them not being great with women at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, at all. But they'll be pushing this because they're selling you that idea, because they're talking to a generation. I think we're some of the most confused generations ever.
This is so
because
real.
there's so much overload of information,
whether
it comes to fitness, all of that. There's so much data and stuff on social media. That's why I'm not on it as much, only for business, and sometimes a bit of like doom scrolling here and there, because it happens, innit? But like, more time, a lot of it is just to distract you from what you're actually supposed to be doing. The people that are doing the things they should be doing, they're not boasting about it, they're just getting it done, and they're not begging for likes and comments and results. Do you know what I mean? They're just getting it done. You always see there's one person in your life, you know, that's always talking about, oh, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They've just never done it. Do you know what I mean? They just talk about doing it and boast about doing it, but where's the actual work?
I think that's another issue I have with the self-improvement like online trend that's happening with our generation as well. It's like, shit, sorry. Pardon me. We're gonna cut that out.
Beat that.
We might keep that in actually. But I feel like so the self-improvement gurus, whatever, they know that they can make a lot of money off of, because it's a profitable industry at the end of the day. And for them exactly, and for them to optimize how much they gain from that sort of business model, they do benefit from people not actually taking action, but just consuming the videos and just always consuming the videos. So I kind of think one of the traps that maybe they've done it subconsciously, or maybe it's intentional, I'm not too sure, but one of the traps is potentially you set these unrealistic goals that people will never meet, because as humans, you cannot be perfect, you cannot meet it. And what ends up happening is you try to implement the changes, but then you flop, and then what do? You go back to their videos and you just keep watching the videos. And a lot of the people that consume this stuff, they might be able to talk about it, they know the theory behind it, but their lives haven't actually changed. That's why they keep watching the videos, and that's how the self-improvement industry keeps growing. If anything, if the self-improvement ideologies and industry was effective, it should end at some point, because everyone would get the information, actually change their lives, and wouldn't need to watch the content anymore. Potentially.
I got last point with that as well. I was gonna say, I did like psychology for A-level. It taught me a lot about like human behavior, so how we think and stuff. Can't remember the exact term, you can pull it up, but it's like internalization or something. It's basically the difference between like what you are now and like the peak of your life and what you could be. And it talks about the difference in that, basically. And that's a problem for a lot of people. Like, you're told, oh, you should have a business, you should be in your peak physical shape, you should be focusing on your career, your partner, like relationship, all of that in one, when a lot of people just haven't got that figured out really and truly. Like social media will make you think everyone's married, got kids, has a car, has a stable career, is rich at this time, when most people aren't. And that's a lot of problems, especially like Western society, do you know what I mean? But you just have to really think about also what you're being told to have. Because a lot of the time, I used to want to be a millionaire. I wanted to just chase it. I was doing sales. I wanted to like focus on income and this and that. But then I realized, what am I actually going to do with that money? So then I started to realize what I actually would do with that money. Okay, I want to have a stable house, decent car, don't really care, family, cool. It only takes a certain amount of money. I think if you're chasing the millions and millions just to have it, it's just going to run you down a dead end. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
All right. I've got a lot to add to this, so strap in. I agree with the ideal thing. Basically, if you set an ideal, you will always compare yourself to this ideal. Inevitably, you're going to find yourself lacking. So you'll live in this sort of like perpetual anxious state. Like, why can I not reach this best version of myself that I'm supposed to be? Although, I will add on to the hating on the self-improvement. I do understand, like, it's become a trendy thing, but I also don't understand why we're looking at it as a bad thing. More young people are going to run clubs. More young people are going into the gym. More young people are reading self-help books. More young people are consuming the right amount of content. It's better than doom scrolling. It's better than brain rot. It's better than smoking and vaping and doing all the other random shit. So why are we looking at this as a negative thing? And I do understand why we're looking at this as in a bad way, where with this overload of information, we don't actually know which way to go. So Jordan Peterson talks about if you take a person and drop them in the middle of a desert, the reason they're anxious isn't because they don't know where to go. It's because there's too many ways to go. So if you give people too many paths, it becomes difficult to choose which route to head down. But like adding on to that point, like Gen Z are the most anxious, depressed, and lonely generation yet. Like you can see this through the stats. Like ages 15 to 29, 25 to 27% of young people in that age group say that they feel fairly lonely or really lonely. And the real kicker of that information is that people who are 60 and 60 plus, 17%. There's more young people who feel lonely than people who are above 60.
That's crazy.
It's mad.
And
that is crazy.
This is allegedly in the most connected generation ever. The irony of the century. But I can see lots of benefits that do come out of the entire self-improvement trend. Like, I've seen plenty of benefits for myself. It just becomes a question of what sort of content are you consuming and how you're consuming it. So Dr. K talks about, he says, why is it that so many people watch hours of self-improvement content but nothing in their life changes? Well, it's because you haven't given time to actually consume the content. The places where we consume it is, oh, I've just woken up in the morning, I'm brushing my teeth and it's quiet. Let me put on a podcast. Or I'm driving to the gym. Let me put on a podcast. Let me listen to this self-improvement person. We don't actually sit down and think, let me watch this video and try to understand what they're getting at here. We do it out of convenience. We want the best bang for our buck with our time. So we place it on the side instead of truly focusing on what it is it's trying to tell us. There are a couple of other things that I forgot some of the points, honestly, but that's like the main breadth.
I get what you're saying. I guess you're saying like, and I feel like I watched the Dr. K, that's Healthy Gamer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched a video on him talking about this, and I feel like he was saying that people don't actually apply the self-improvement because they're not engaged as they're consuming the content, essentially. That kind of reminds me of another issue that I kind of want to bring up, which is just the negatives of social media, because I think one of the issues with social media is kind of linked to what you brought up, which is how it's affected like our attention spans. Like we live in an attention economy where I feel like, you know, all these platforms are fighting for our attention and they're becoming really good at getting that attention. It's kind of hard to, because there's like super smart people that are building these algorithms and stuff on these platforms that the whole goal is to keep us just scrolling and stuff like that. And you've kind of touched on this loneliness epidemic stuff as well, which kind of links to the next thing I want to discuss, which is, do you think the loneliness epidemic and the stuff around our generation not being as connected is due to social media then? If you like this episode, we're going to be doing more things like this. We're going to be talking about like philosophical concepts, trying to apply them to modern day situations. If that's the kind of stuff you want to be seeing, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that stuff. Also, there's going to be a link in the description to a community I'm starting. It's a new online community where you guys can talk about conversations like this. Might even do live video calls as well. If that's something you're interested in, check that out as well.
Massive factor. I think, as his point said, like, the reason a lot of our generation and younger feel lonely is because, like, they don't know how to actually make meaningful connections. Like, back in my day, you played out. You played out. Like, the days of playing out, I'm seeing it less and less, because I have 2 younger sisters as well. Stuck to their iPad, stuck to the TV. I had timers on TV, so you had a certain amount of time, you had to do your homework, and I got to play out. And it was a thing of where that's why I made meaningful connections, because I'm seeing someone's actual face. I'm talking to them, we're playing, we're doing whatever. I even saw something like, I can't remember the term for it, but apparently it's like younger kids, especially in like customer service jobs, they're not even able to speak to people as normally as usual, and they're like almost kind of like, again, lacking in confidence and lacking in these things. And it's sad to see, because you'd think in a generation where, because I think a lot of like Gen Alpha or the younger generation, they're going to be super smart, but they're going to be held back in life by not knowing how to connect with people.
So they're going to be a bunch of nerds.
No, but it's certain aspects of it, because like they're going to be, I think there's so many brilliant things that's going to come out of that generation, super smart, but in terms of actual life skills, like, I think it's going to get to the stage where they're going to have to chat GBT everything, like how to do this, how to do that, because they weren't taught it. But then it also comes back to the generations that are raising them as well, because there's always this debate on, it kind of annoys me a lot of the time, from like boomers and Gen X about, oh, we had it so hard, you guys have it so easy. I don't think that's the case at all. I just think we have different problems, like the money thing. I think we just have different problems.
A good question on that. Which generation do you actually think has had it harder?
I'm gonna say Gen Z, you know.
That's our generation, right?
Yeah, so Gen Z's, I think, like anyone that's like 20, basically from 1990, I think 98-ish to like late 2000s or 2000, like, I don't know, you have to search it, but like I think it's like 1997 to 2000, maybe like 4 or something or whatever. I think Gen X and boomers is obviously a bit older. I think they went through harder times in terms of like the level of intensity of hard things, because without having to do things without the internet, it's extremely hard. Having to do things without all the information and just what their parents told them and what the culture and society knew, super hard. But like what he said, there's so many directions that we can go in now, and so many things that affect our mental, our social aspects, our health aspects. There's so much misinformation on a lot of things, and so many other challenges that they didn't have back in the day. I just think for us personally, like, it's going to be subjective on what you think is a struggle and what you think is hard and what you're looking for. But I think at this moment we have it harder. The job market for us at the moment, a lot of people comparing it to the 2008 recession, saying it's worse. People are saying that inflation is beating a lot of things. Like, I think back in the day, it was, you could buy a house with 3 times your income. Average income was like 7 grand. Average house price was 21k. Now it's almost 10 times that. So it's like money has definitely become harder, because you could feed a family off of 1 income, maybe even 1.5 incomes. Now you need 2 and you're just about surviving. So it just depends on what you
I think if complaining was an Olympic sport, Gen Z would win.
So we
are the most privileged generation, especially in the West, than we've ever been in history. The mortality rate is the lowest it's ever been. Kids are not dying at birth. We have so many options of what we can do. And yes, that leads to a different type of problem. Like, we become the most anxious generation. But are we willing to trade that anxiety for not dying at birth? Stuff like that. Yes, I can argue it's a different type of hard, but I don't think we're living in the hardest generation. Like, we can we can afford food, we can get housing. People who come from different countries, like this, not to get into the politics, but like people who come to the UK get given housing, food, and a base level of income so they can survive.
It's not everyone though.
It's not everyone, but it's a lot more than people before. There was, I forgot his name, but it was in this book, Factfulness. He did a study. He went around to most countries around the world. It was a huge, huge study. He asked them simple questions like, how many people do you think in the world are vaccinated? 40%, 60%, 80%. Most people said 40%. It's 80%. People in Gen Z, especially, it's actually most people just in general, think we have it worse than it actually is. He makes the analogy, if he took all the questions and on bananas, he put A, B, or C and chucked it into a group of monkeys and asked them to answer the questions, the monkeys would do better than humans. Because we are downward sloping in understanding how good things are in comparison to what it was before. We think the world is out to get us. We think the world is the worst that it's been.
Yeah.
And this is more prevalent in the West. There was a study, again, another one. They took a bunch of people and showed them pictures of threatening and non-threatening faces. And people were pretty good at figuring out what non-threatening and threatening was. This is threatening, this is non-threatening. And slowly, they started removing the threatening faces. And people started becoming a bit more picky about what was threatening. So some faces which before they would have put on as non-threatening, they now put it as threatening. And they did this with third world problems. Problems that wouldn't have been as much of an issue, and other ones that would have been as much of an issue in the West. And they slowly started taking out the problems that were actual issues. And these people became more picky about what were true issues in their lives. This is the epitome of third world problems. We will look at things after we habituate to the things that were problems before and that have been solved. Like, okay, we can somewhat get housing. Like, we're not getting killed on the street every time we walk down it. We're not getting we can say that London stabbings are higher than ever, but they're not. They're the lowest they've ever been. It's just we think the world is much worse than it is. And when things become good and that becomes sort of the standard, then we're very quick to make something else a problem that wouldn't have been a problem previously, or we would have been on the fence about.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with, I'd say just over half of that as well. Contend it slightly. I agree, especially like with violence, for example, with the stabbing thing. It's much lower than before, and the violence is way less than before. Like 2005 times, 2006 times. Like, you see how everyone can go to like a brunch in Hackney, go to a shop in Tottenham.
Like, is it cool to go Peckham now? Is it?
No, because I've done, like, when I've done the film, I've done shoots in Brixton, I've done shoots in Peckham, and it's a thing of where back in the day, you just couldn't go to certain places unless you either knew people from around there, you had a real reason to go there. Even then, it wasn't enough. There wasn't so many things that you could track with CCTV, with the police being updated with so many things. Violence was way worse back in the day because a lot of stuff didn't get reported and a lot of things didn't come to fruition. Do you know what I mean? Only thing I will say is definitely the problems back in the day were way worse. I just think the problems were worse, but there's more problems in certain things today. But it also goes to how people have been conditioned, for example, because there's that quote that say like tough times create tough people create easy times, and easy times create weak people. It's a thing of where they went through a bit more back in the day, so they've been toughened up and they've been taught how to survive in certain things, and they've made it easier for the younger generation. But now, because their minds are more feeble, yes, they're going to go through certain things that aren't issues as much, and they're going to complain about it more because it's, oh my gosh, I ain't got Wi-Fi. What what do you mean? There's times my phone is just non-existent. I grew up with a brick phone. I had Sudoku and Snake. There wasn't no other stuff to do. So we're going to complain about a lot of things, and there's a lot of talk on mental health and all these things, and I'm not trying to sound bad in it, but like a lot of things that I've heard about mental health, I don't think they're mental health as much. A lot of people self-diagnose and say, oh, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. I promise you don't. Like, actually do the things that the self-improvement things are talking about. You'll see your life improve. A lot of those problems will go away. As he said, work on being confident, knowing yourself. A lot of people, that's the thing, a lot of people have an identity crisis. They don't understand themselves and who they've been brought to be. So that's when they struggle with these issues.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, those are all good points, and yeah, I get where you're coming from. I feel like that's a point that is a lot of people in our generation don't like to hear. Like, I think we are more like positively affirming of mental health, and the idea of dismissing that, I feel like that usually like strikes people a certain way. But I do get where you're coming from. I do think to an extent, you know, we might put too much emphasis on mental health issues in our generation. But just to close things off, because I feel like we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But closing thoughts, I guess what I want to ask everyone is if there was like one sort of like philosophy or mindset or ideology that you'd want to tell anyone that's watching that you feel like would improve their life or help them navigate the current situation, current society that we're in right now, what would that be?
Yeah, I've got one. Again, this is one Angela taught me, and I fucking love it. The belief that the juice is worth the squeeze is not a product of the juice, but rather the juice is the product of the belief that it's worth the squeeze. And what he means by that is, let's establish the metaphor here. So the juice, which is the rewards of life, and the squeeze is the effort that you're putting into life. We tend to think to ourselves that life has to show me that it's meaningful. Life has to show me it's worth putting effort in before I start putting effort in. We want to know that there's something at the end of the tunnel. But that, if we wait for that moment, it's never going to come about. So if we just start squeezing and wait for the juice to come about, wait for life's rewards to come about, that will happen. If we just put the effort in, then the good will come about. And we tend to get the causality backwards. As I said here, we tend to get the causality backwards in the sense that we want to know the rewards first before we put the effort in. It's like another good example of getting causality backwards. You have a drug addict, right, who takes drugs and says, I take drugs because life is meaningless. Well, let's think about that a bit more. Maybe they've convinced themselves that life is meaningless so that they can take drugs instead of it being the other way around. So a lot of the time, the things that we think are the truth tend to be getting the causality backwards, which is especially in the case of the juice and the squeeze. And why I love it so much is essentially faith. On faith, you're putting effort into life and hoping something comes out of it. And there seems to be some sort of nobility and bravery, this sort of running out of the trench into no man's land. And that's really potent for me.
Down.
I like that one. Yeah.
What about you?
Actually,
If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Check out our online Skool community. There's going to be a link in the description down below. Other than that, thanks for watching.
mine would probably be just like little bullet points, like I say focus on your health. Once you understand your purpose, your identity and who you're meant to be, life will become much clearer. Sometimes that comes with age, sometimes that comes with experience. A lot of the time it's both. It's okay to be confused, but it's not okay to stay confused. And I had one more point. Focus on like building relationships. If you believe in God, focus on relationship with God. I know that can be a touchy subject for everyone, but just focus on not necessarily what just brings you happiness, but what brings you purpose as well. And focus on relationships, because those are the things that last. As you said, all good things do come to an end, but it's that kind of thing with love, like you'd rather have love and lose it rather than not have it at all. So just focus on those things that are important. Money is important, but use it as a tool, not as the chase of money. And
yeah, no, cool. I
what
like
about
that.
you?
Yeah, no, I'll keep mine short and sweet. But I think mine is literally just this life is crazy, it's complicated. I don't think there's any straightforward answers. I don't think it's black and white. So You might as well just laugh. I can't lie. I feel like you might as well
Be
just
happy
laugh
as
through
well.
the
Yeah,
pain.
yeah, yeah. Nah, for real.
Yeah, just enjoy the ride, laugh through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I think we'll end it there.
No more, man.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Appreciate it. No, sure, man. For sure.
Cool.
Same way, man.
Cool. That's a wrap.